Hello friends, welcome to the our YouTube channel Basics of Physics. Myself Professor Ravikiran Late. Today I'll be discussing some of the multiple choice questions based on the topic Physics of Thin Film. The present presentation has been prepared from point of view of MSc Physics examination of Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. Some of the topics which I'll be discussing in today's session, that will be the capillarity model, atomistic model, some of the preparation methods of the thin film, and some of the applications I will be discussing based on the syllabus of the Savitribai Phule Pune University for the MSc Physics examination. So let us start with the today's session with the first multiple choice question. The first multiple choice question is thin film is two-dimensional structure with dash dash degree of confinement. The options are given over here. Option A 1, option 2, option B 2, option C 3, option D 0. Now we know that whenever any kind of material will be there, that material, it will be classified depending upon how many degrees of freedom are required to specify the state of that material. Now if it is a bulk material, it will require 3 degrees of freedom. It will require 3 degrees of freedom for its specification. So such a kind of materials are called as a bulk material. If one of the dimension of that such a box is compressed, then we say that 1 degree of confinement it is applied to that material. Okay, such a kind of materials, these are called as two-dimensional materials such as quantum well. Okay, so thin film is a class of such a kind of material which is having a 1 degree of confinement, and it is a two-dimensional structure. So and if you further constrain this dimension, suppose in this case now we are compressing z-axis as well as x-axis, we are compressing, sorry, y-axis we are compressing. So you are getting length along only a x direction. Such a kind of materials are called as a one-dimensional materials. For example, quantum wires. These are the examples of a quantum wire, one-dimensional material. And if you further restrict x-axis as well, so you will get just a point at the origin. Such a kind of materials are called as a quantum dot, which is a zero-dimensional materials with 3 degree of confinement. In this case, the question has been asked, the thin film is a structure with dash dash degree of confinement. So in case of thin film, it is a 1 degree of confinement it is given. So we can define a thin film is a two-dimensional material with 1 degree of confinement. So the correct answer for this question is degree of confinement for a thin film, it is 1. So the correct answer for this question is option number A. Now next question is, generally epitaxial thin films are grown on substrate. Option A single crystal, option B polycrystalline crystal substrate, option C amorphous substrate, option D glass substrate. Now what are these epitaxial thin films are? Epitaxial thin films are the thin films which are grown on a single crystal substrate. They have a particular orientation. They have particular orientation or highly ordered atomic arrangement. Highly ordered atomic arrangement such a kind of thin films have. Okay, so generally single crystals are used which acts as an or which serves as an seed for the formation of such a kind of thin films. So the correct answer for this question is, it is a single crystal which is there. It is a single crystal is the answer for this question. Generally epitaxial thin films are grown on single crystal substrate. Second question is, next question is, thin film formation involves the following phenomena during deposition. Option A adsorption, option B desorption, option C diffusion, option D all of them. Now see, a schematic of typical chemical vapor deposition system, it has been shown in the figure. You can see it is a sample boat or boat in which sample which needs to be evaporated, it is kept, and high voltage is applied across this electrode in between these two electrodes, so that the material which is kept inside this boat, its temperature will increase due to the Joule's heating law, and these materials will evaporate and it will move in this direction. Okay, now you can see in this animation the atoms are moving in upward direction. So these atoms goes on the substrate and they adsorb. Also they do arrangement amongst themselves, means diffusion also happens in that case. In some cases those atoms may dissolve from the substrate as well. So all these phenomena, adsorption, desorption and diffusion happens in case of a thin film. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is the option number D. It is all of the above. Next question is, which of the following model can be used to determine the critical size of nuclei? Option A, capillarity model. Option B, atomistic model. Option C, liquid drop model. Option D, all of above. Now see, first of all we will look into the capillarity model. Capillarity theory of nucleation use the concept of the Gibbs free energy or nucleus radius. If you see the variation of the total Gibbs free energy, which is the addition of volume energy as well as volume energy and surface energy. So this total energy or Gibbs free energy, it will go like this. But if you see at a critical value, at r equal to r naught, this curve, it has some maximum value. This uppermost curve, it is showing a surface energy. This lowermost curve, it is showing a volume energy, and this curve, it is a total Gibbs free energy for different saturations. If you see, consider any one of these curve for a particular value of r naught, you'll get a maximum in the Gibbs free energy. So if I use the first derivative condition, then we know that if any function is having a maximum value, then you can take its derivative with respect to that function or that variable, and if you equate to the zero, you'll get that value. From that one you can calculate the critical size of the nucleus. So it is the capillarity model which uses the which can be used to determine the critical size of the nucleus. So the correct answer for this question is the option number A. Fifth question is, which of the following pump is used for low vacuum purpose? Options are given over here. Option A, rotary pump. Option B, oil diffusion pump. Option C, turbomolecular pump. Option D, all above. Rotary pumps, this is the pump which is used generally for to get a low order of vacuum, which is 10 raised to minus 3. But in order to have a knowledge of all those things, I'll be giving you a range of all these pumps. Oil diffusion pump, it gives a vacuum around the range 10 raised to minus 6 torr, and turbomolecular pump gives a vacuum in the range 10 raised to minus 12 torr. So it is the option A, rotary pump, which is used for the purpose of low vacuum, to achieve low vacuum. Next question is, semiconducting bulk material or thin film possess dash dash temperature coefficient. The options are given over here: positive, option B negative, option C 0, and option D all of the above. Now see, you can see this image in this figure. The variation of temperature, variation of resistivity with respect to temperature for different material, it has been shown. You can see in one curve, the variation of resistivity with respect to temperature, the curve is decreasing. In other curve, the curve is going in upward direction. What does that mean? If you have the variation in the temperature with respect to resistivity, in the first curve, as you increase the temperature, in the first curve, as you increase the temperature, the resistivity of the material decreases. Resistivity of the material decreases. Such a kind of materials are called as negative temperature coefficient materials. And in the materials in which if you increase the temperature and if the resistivity is also increasing, then such a kind of materials are called as positive temperature coefficient material. Such a kind of materials are called as positive temperature coefficient material. So in our question it has been asked semiconducting material, bulk material or thin films possess. So for semiconductor it is negative temperature coefficient curve we have observed. So the correct answer for this question is option number B. So the semiconducting bulk material or thin film possesses negative temperature coefficient. Next question is, which of the following are the sources of resistivity in metallic conductor? Options are given over here. Option A, temperature. Option B, imperfections and vacancies. Option C, point defects, and option D, all of the above. Now see, whenever if you consider any kind of a metallic conductor, it is made up of some crystal lattices. It is made up of some crystal lattices, and these crystal lattices, they are having a periodic arrangement. In this figure, the figure which is showing a motion of electron inside a crystal lattice under the influence of an electric field, because we have applied some voltage over here. You can see all these atoms are regularly arranged in this case, and whenever the voltage is applied, these electrons are moving in this fashion from this point to this point. The electrons are moving from this point to this point in this fashion. So this is the direction of flow of electron. Now if it is an ordered lattice, there is no problem with the motion of the electron. It will have some definite resistivity, which we call it as an residual resistivity. Now imagine if you have such a kind of ordered lattice and we provide some amount of thermal energy to that one. So what will happen? The atoms will try to vibrate about their mean position. What do we call that as an? We call that as an phonon. Okay, we call that as an phonon. So due to that one, due to the thermal energy, these atoms will vibrate. So means their resistivity, means the electrons which were initially moving in this fashion, now they are getting some obstacle in their path due to the temperature. Means it is the first factor, that temperature of the specimen, it affects the resistivity. So the option first one is correct. Okay, option one is correct. Now we will talk about the option number 2. Now what happens if it is imperfections or vacancies are there? Now imagine, suppose that your vehicle is moving on a smooth road, suddenly some vacancy or imperfections is there on the road. Okay, so what will happen when your vehicle go inside that vacancy? So your speed of the vehicle will get down. Okay, it will decrease. Means it is the imperfections or vacancies which also affects the resistivity of the material. It is also affects the resistivity of the material. And suppose there are some defects are there. For example, at a certain position, some of these atoms, for example, this atom is not there. So whatever the Coulombic attraction it will be there, that will affect the net force on that electron. Means this point defects also affects the resistivity of the material. So if you consider all these four points, or all above 3 points, they affect the resistivity of the metallic conductor. So in this case, the correct answer for this question is option number D. Now next question is, which of the following technique can be used to sputter highly insulating material? Option A, DC sputtering. Option B, RF sputtering. Option C, chemical part deposition. Option D, all of the above. Obviously, sputtering is an physical method, so option D is wrong. Option C and D both are wrong. So you don't have to think about those two options. Now we will look into the what is sputtering. Sputtering is a technique to deposit thin films by creating plasma. So it is the plasma which is used, and how this plasma will be created, it is with the help of uh, electric field they are created, and ions will be accelerated. So for that purpose two kinds of sources are used, okay, or two types of sputtering systems are there which are generally used. First one is called as a RF sputtering, second one is called as the DC sputtering. What is RF sputtering? RF sputtering uses a radio frequency alternating current source for the application of an electric field or for the application of current. And in DC sputtering system, it is the DC source or DC current source is used for the sputtering purpose. Basically, during the DCB sputtering, the working gas will be ionized. As a result, many positive ions will be produced within the chamber in which you are depositing, in that one many positive ions will be produced within that chamber, and those positive ions it will accumulate on the surface of the target. Okay, if the conductivity of the specimen of which you need to make a thin film, if it is very high, in such a case DC sputtering will not be useful, because in that case DC sputtering will not be effective. In that case, in order to avoid this problem, we can use the AC power instead of DC power. Why does it happens? It is a different story. We have already discussed this in our regular lectures, but that you have to remember that it is the AC alternating current source with radio frequency has to be used in order to sputter highly insulating material. So in this case the correct answer is the option number B. Option number B is the correct answer. By mistake I had shown over here D, but this D is not the correct answer. Correct answer over here is the option number B. Now we will move. Now next question is, the following is the method which is more reliable to determine the thickness of the deposited thin film. First option is Tolanski technique, option B gravimetric method, option C stylus method, option D quartz crystal microbalance. Now see, all of these methods, Tolanski method, if you use a thickness of 5 nanometer, it will give an accuracy of 0.8 nanometer. So approximately 16% of error you can expect in this one. If you use the stylus method, for this purpose, then you can use a minimum thickness of 2.5 nanometer with a precision of plus or minus 2%. Okay, and it's a quartz crystal microbalance. It is sensitive to 10 raised to minus 8 gram, makes it possible to measure thickness of fraction of monolayer. Okay, means if it is a monoatomic film is there, it is a fraction of that can be measured with the help of this quartz crystal microbalance. So as far as the references data suggest, I personally feel is that the correct answer for this question is the quartz crystal microbalance is the correct answer. 10th question is, the gravimetric method of thickness determination of thin film gives dash dash value of the thickness. First one option is average over sample, option B age or step value, option C central value, option D none of the above. Now see, here we will discuss what is the principle which is used for the determination of thickness of the thin film by using a gravimetric method. In case of a gravimetric method, it is the density of the material which is being used for calculating the thickness of the thin film. We know that density of the material, it is given by mass upon volume. Volume is given by area into thickness of the thin film. Now instead of this volume, I can substitute this value of area into thickness. If I substitute, I'll get density formula is equal to mass upon area into thickness. Now how to determine the thickness? If I transfer this thickness from this side to this side, and rest of the terms I can transfer from this side to this side. For example, density I will transfer to this side. So thickness I'll get thickness is equal to mass upon area into density. And obviously the area of the thin film can be measured with the help of any kind of a optical microscope, or which is having a scale attached to it. For example, traveling microscope you can use, and you can calculate the length and width of the thin film. Okay, and from that one you can calculate the area mass of the thin film. You can calculate by taking a mass of the thin film before deposition and after deposition, but by taking a difference of that one, you will be getting a actual amount of the mass which is of thin film, and density of the material, which is known factor. From the theoretical calculation also you can determine the density. So if you consider from this one, you can calculate the thickness of the thin film. So if you see, it is the density of the material which is a average value of the material. It is the over average value of the sample it is giving. So the correct answer for this question is the gravimetric method of thickness determination of the thin film gives the average over sample value of the thickness. 11th question is, following is an example of 2D confinement. Option A, quantum dot. Option B, quantum wire. Option C, quantum well. And option D, all of the above. Just we had seen in our earlier MCQs that materials are classified depending upon the how many degrees of confinement are applied to this one. If 0 degree of confinement it is there, then such a kind of material is called as the bulk material. If 1 degree of confinement it is applied, then such a kind of material is called as a thin film or quantum well. Okay, and if 2 degree of confinement it is applied to the material, then such a kind of material it is called as quantum wire. Okay, so in this case the correct answer for this question is quantum wire is the correct answer. Option B. Now next question is thin film structure has dash dash dimension of confinement. Just we had seen that thin film is a two-dimensional structure with 1 degree of confinement. So it is thin film has dash dash dimension of confinement. So it is 1 degree of confinement it is there in case of a thin film. So the correct answer for that question is option number A. Next question is 13. The stages or stage in the formation of thin film are, first one is nucleation and growth of channel into island, coalescence of islands, filling of the channel, all above. All of us know that in case of a thin film, nucleation happens. During the nucleation, a small nuclei are formed and that are statistically distributed over the surface of the substrate. Okay, and these small nuclei, they grow together to form an island on the substrate, and which often have a very small shape of small crystals. And these small crystals or island, they will coalesce each other, they will attach to each other to form a large network. They will combine over each other to form a large kind of a channel, and in the final stage these channels will be filled, okay, by connecting the small islands to that one. So you can say that during the nucleation process, nucleation and growth of island happens, coalescence of island happens, then filling of channel happens. It means that all the above options are correct. So the correct answer for this question is option number D. Next question is, Gibbs free energy delta G in capillary model is given by delta G is equal to the equation it is given. And what we need to calculate is, we need to calculate the critical size of nuclei as per capillarity model. We need to calculate the critical size of the nuclei as per the capillarity model. The options are given over here. We know that from capillarity model considers a volume energy and the surface energy. Its variation is like this. The surface, the Gibbs free energy delta G, it has two terms. The first term is, it is called as a surface term, surface energy term, and the second term is called as the volume energy term. The variation of the surface energy and volume energy, it is shown over here, and the addition of these two, it will go like this. For different supersaturations, the variation of Gibbs free energy, total Gibbs free energy, which consists of surface energy as well as volume energy, it will go like this. Now if you consider at a particular value of R naught, this Gibbs free energy for a given concentration, it will have a maximum value. It will have a maximum value, and we know that, let us say that that maximum value is occurring at R is equal to R star. And we know that if any function is there, it is having a certain maximum value, we can use a first derivative maxima condition, that we can take a derivative of that function with respect to that variable. We can substitute that value, that is R is equal to R naught, and if you equate to that point to the 0, then we can find the maximum value of that parameter. Okay, so if I take a differentiation of this one, 4 pi R square, which will be 4 pi into sigma Cv into 2R star. In this case 4 by 3 pi is constant. Derivative of R cube, it will be 3R square is equal to 0. Delta Gv is constant, so it will be as it is. Now if I take a 4 pi R star common from this one, and from this one I can write down, I can cancel this 3 with this 3. This will lead to 2 sigma Cv into delta Gv into R star. Now if I consider that it's a product of two terms, either this term can be 0 or second term can be 0. But as R star is a critical radius, it cannot be 0, because you cannot have a nuclei with a 0 radii. So it is the second term which has to be 0. It is the second term which has to be 0. So this bracket is equal to 0. If you equate it to the 0, from that one we can calculate the value of R star by using this one, and it is coming out to be minus 2 sigma Cv upon delta Gv. So which is nothing but the option A. So the correct answer for this question is option number A. Last question is, the usefulness of thin film as a resistor depends upon the following factors. Option A, low temperature coefficient of resistance. Option B, high stability of thin film. Option C, tolerance and low voltage coefficient. Option D, all above. Obviously, in order to use a resistor for in order to use a thin film as a resistor, you have to have a low temperature coefficient of resistance for a given thin film. High stability, because if you are using that resistor at a high temperature or in some corrosive environment, that thin film has to be stable, or it has to be stable in the environment in which you are using this thin film. So option A is correct, option B is correct. Now option C suggests it's a tolerance and low voltage coefficient. Obviously, in order to have a better application, the material of the thin film or thin film prepared, it must have a high value of tolerance, and voltage which is required to drive such a kind of devices, it must be low. So it is also a good parameter which decides the application of the thin film as a resistor. So obviously all these four parameters are used while considering the application of the thin film in a resistor devices. So it is the option D which is the correct answer for this question. That's it for the today's session. These are the some of the references or textbooks which we have used for the to draw the multiple choice questions for you people. These books you can follow for the further preparation. I hope you people have understood the multiple choice questions which we have discussed in the present session, and in the last section as well. I request all of you, if you are having any doubts or if you are getting any confusion about any questions, you can ask me in the comment section of this video, or you can even text me on my WhatsApp group as well. So that's it for the today's lecture. We will stop here for the today's session. Thank you so much.